We need to think about others in context because it can be very difficult if we just look on paper what these strategies would look like. My nugget today is on teaching empathy in science. So I teach middle and high school science. And at my school, empathy and a lot of these other thinking skills are really focused on in the English class and the language courses. But I think that science is really grounded in this too, that looking around, seeing differences, seeing something that raises questions and trying to understand other perspectives and gain evidence on it. That's really science thinking. So that's something that science encourages. It can shed awareness on others' perspectives. And so that's something that in my class we focused on a lot, and it's sometimes really difficult. So I was going to go over an example that I did this year, but it's something I've really tried to in all classes. And so this year we taught a unit on how people end pandemics. So it was a little focused on the pandemic we were living in. And we went over science strategies. How does COVID actually spread from person to person? How does it spread within the body? What are some mitigation strategies and individual actions that different folks can take to stop the spread of COVID-19? And as you look at those, there's a lot of science concepts behind them, but you need to look at them in the context of living through a pandemic. And so students were able to hold discussions, and they actually held a journal as we went throughout of applying some of these science understandings as we learned about how bacteria spreads, what are some of these concepts of immunity, how you can get it through recovery and through immunization, and how herd immunity itself is based on citizenship. And we need to understand others when we build on these mitigation strategies. So students finished by putting a plan of what they would do if they were our governor, which I think gave them some empathy for the tough position he was in, but also trying to understand that as we learn science, we need to think about others in context because it can be very difficult if we just look on paper what these strategies would look like. So it kind of forced students to look at science with a concept of empathy. And this is something I was trying to do in other classes too. So when we talk about combustion in chemistry, we look at the fires in the Amazon and how perhaps that these products and reactants are different placed in the environment and how that affects people differently. And so I think empathy, yes, it needs to be a concept that you actually think about when you design instructional material for science, but it's not that far of a jump. And so that's always been something I've been pushing our department in Brazil to look at, that this isn't something that's thrown over in the humanities realm, that this is something that is really, really important as we look at how science has been around us as an adult.